Peter. We've got a whole lot of news to talk about. We've got a Lawler versus Brown card coming up this weekend. We've got big news on Vitor Belfort, but I think the news we're about to discuss trumps everything else we're going to talk about tonight.
Yep, breaking news from the world of the UFC as Alexander Gustafsson has suffered an injury in training. He is pulled out of his fight against John Jones for the light heavyweight title on September the 27th. Dana White was quick to announce a new opponent for John Jones, and it's a fighter who has been calling for this opportunity for what seems like months on end.
Yes, can I just read from the press release here? I'll go ahead and quote, since you mentioned Dana.
Yep.
He said, quote, Cormier and Jones have traded words in the press for months. This heated rivalry will finally be settled inside the octagon on September 27th in what could be considered one of the biggest events of the year, John Jones versus Daniel Cormier.
Which leaves the opportunity, Stevie, to make your early prediction in the new fight for the light heavyweight title. Who do you got?
That's very early indeed to be making a prediction. Obviously, we know Cormier can get to 205 now. We've seen him do it. He's looked good in the process of doing it. But this is a whole step up in competition. And he's got a natural Olympic wrestling ability. But John Jones has also shown outstanding collegiate transition to pro MMA wrestling ability. So this is a really tough one to call right now. But Cormier has said, and I quote, if I want to take John Jones down 100 times, I'll take him down 100 times. And I believe him. But there's more to winning a fight than getting John Jones off his feet, because other people have managed to do it, but they have not managed to beat him.
No. It'll definitely be one of John Jones's toughest tests to date. But, you know, it's the old Ric Flair adage, where to beat the man, you got to beat the man. I don't think Daniel Cormier can beat John Jones.
I don't know, but I do like the prospect of him getting a new opponent. Not that I wasn't looking forward to the Gustafsson rematch because it promised to be an epic fight, but this is epic in its own right because it's somebody that Jones has never seen before in the octagon who will present a whole new range of skills and challenges that he already knew about Gustafsson from having fought him once.
And you got to think, this is an injury that must be significant because the fight's not for another 2 months.
Right, but they consider this one of the marquee cards of the year, so they're not going to wait to make this announcement. They're going to, if they have any inkling that anybody's out of this card, they're going to make the announcement right now because they need those 2 months to build it up.
They need to boost ticket sales.
No, not even ticket sales. I just mean the hype in general. They want to make sure this goes down as one of the most important pay-per-views of the year.
Or maybe to film the countdown specials.
Yeah, that could be a reason too, because I can already imagine the level of smack talking between John Jones and Daniel Cormier is going to be epic if they do countdowns.
Now, you mentioned smack talking, and we have to talk about the news today coming from the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Chael Sonnen, the king of smack himself, even though he's retired, has been suspended for 2 years.
Yeah, you knew they were going to throw the book at him at today's hearing, which was airing on Fight Pass along with the decision on Vitor Belfort. And as I mentioned, we'll get to that in a little bit. But Chael Sonnen does take precedence right now because, retired or not, he is banned from competing for 2 years. They took a look at all his drug test failures and said, nuh-uh, no way. You can't come out of retirement even if you want to. Too bad.
Now, the running joke is that the commissioners were, they're very strict with him. They tore him a new one, in my opinion. And Chael walked into that meeting thinking he had to, he's going to get a huge fine. Ends up no fine, but he did get suspended. And it looks like he might even get a job with the commission, which is a really weird twist of irony on that one.
Well, if anybody needs to know how to educate fighters on what not to do when you're getting licensed by the commission, he could be that guy that educates fighters and says, here's what you don't do.
He actually said during the hearing he didn't know where to go to see a list of what was banned.
I'm not sure I buy that. That's more Chael Sonnen's spin.
Hearing under oath, and I was like, oh, what?
Yeah, that's like him claiming that the things he was taking were out of competition because he needed to address being off of TRT. There's no such thing as out of competition to take anything when you're an MMA fighter. I didn't buy that one either.
No, it's
and I like Chael Sonnen, but sometimes his bullshit is bullshit.
It's funny that, some people were calling for his head. Some of the commissioners were actually saying, we should suspend him for life. what they said about, and we'll talk about, Vitor in a bit there, but, you said they could have thrown the book at him, and people thought Belfort was going to book throw him too, but they gave him a license. But the thing about Sonnen is that, they could have given him a huge, huge fine, but it's like, in my opinion, you don't kick the horse while it's down.
Well, maybe they decided not to give him the fine, and I was not able to watch the hearing live, but maybe they just decided since he's already retired, what's the point of fining him? How's he going to earn the money to pay a fine anyway if he's not fighting?
Well, look at it this way. Spend it for 2 years. When he comes back, he'll be 39 years old, and his last fight was November 2013.
I'm not so sure we'll ever see him fighting again. Could we see him coaching other fighters? Yes. Could we see him back on UFC Tonight or Fox Sports? Yes. I think his active fighting days are over with or without the suspension.
Well, he can always have one more fight with Silva.
No, I think at this point that's off the table. I don't think they'll be able to put together that fight in a way that both guys would be happy, and especially 2 years later with their bodies both aging and quite frankly not being physically capable of what they are now, because they were already both using a lot of substances just to be able to fight at their current level, which they both got popped for. So let's forget about that fight ever happening at this point.